Moving on to sort of our final sort of section on just advice and guidance moving forward. So I think a lot of students, when you're kind of contemplating your future, and probably even in schools as well, you're kind of drawn to like that exercise of seeing where your skills and your interests lie, and then see where perhaps you can apply them into the workplace, see where they're in demand. So what do you think, from maybe your experience and from what you've seen in the workplace, what are the skills and kind of fundamental interests that you think people should sort of possess in order to thrive and be suitable in a field like engineering?
From my perspective, you just need to be curious and ask questions, and just want to investigate and understand what's going on, what can you learn, what can you do. One of the biggest bits of advice, though, that I have from what I've learned is not to be afraid to fail, because it's how you react afterwards. So if you fail at something, you can take that and turn it into a learning, because then you've learned how not to do something, and you've learned what you can then try something else to see if that works and that's better. And it's only by those points that you can progress and get better. And most people, you'll know, they won't have got where they are without some form of failure otherwise, because they would have learnt from that and then pushed themselves to be better.
I think that's really good advice as well. The questions one is really important. Just ask questions, be inquisitive. No question is a silly question. No one knows everything either. So you might ask a question to someone and they might not know, and then they ask another person, and therefore two people have learned something as a result of your question. I think that's really important. And another thing is, don't have an expectation of where you're going to be in X amount of years, because things change in a matter of months, in a matter of weeks. So don't put too much pressure on yourself that you have to be in this position or you have to be at this point in your career. A lot of things can change. Even myself, I start in a different placement, and even the placement I'm in right now, I was petrified of it at the start, because you have to talk to customers and you have to know what you're talking about. And I thought, oh God, I can never do that. Whereas now here I am, really enjoying it. So I think don't have it to put too much pressure on yourself. Ask questions and find something you really enjoy, because engineering doesn't just fit one person. There's so many different roles within that, and if you just look around, do a bit of research, you'll find something that's for you, because hopefully you're going to spend a long time working, and you may as well do something you enjoy.
From what you just mentioned there, I just gathered that it's sort of a process. You've got to be kind of patient with sort of discovering that journey for yourself, because I think, as you mentioned, there is some sort of like pressure when other people might know what they want to do, and you're still kind of figuring things out, just to kind of follow your interest, but take it one step at a time, not rush into it. Yeah, that's helpful. And in terms of, like, we're talking about International Women in Engineering Day as well. We've got like 2021 figures which indicate that in the UK only 16.5% of engineers are women. Do you think that this is changing or will change?
I think from my perspective, it wants to change. People are trying to make it change, but when it comes down to trying to get more women into engineering, we need to start from a primary school level and show them how fun that engineering can be, and it's not just for the boys kind of thing, and that you can get everybody else involved. Because when I was going through university, you could see that when we're doing like the maths and the engineering, the amount of women that are just getting slowly smaller and smaller and smaller. It's just because of all of, from my perspective, like conditioning that you don't really notice. You just kind of learning, and then you do, and that's how you've kind of been brought up. So you don't really know it, and it's just a constant side of things. It's just nowadays people are more aware of it, and they're trying to change it and do it. So maybe in 20 years, when people have got more of that awareness and trying to pull it forward and doing it, you'll see a huge shift. And it's at this stage now where you can see people changing.
Yeah, I agree. I think slowly it's changing. There's a lot of work to do, and it would be great to see more of a representation. And slowly we are seeing it a little bit more. More and more managers at Siemens are becoming are women, and it's nice to see people that I can say, oh, they're a woman like me. They did the same thing that I did at university, and it's the same. It trickles down eventually. So I think where there is a lot of work to do, it is slowly getting there. But one thing I do feel as an engineer, a female engineer at Siemens, I've never felt like depressed or anything like that, and I always feel like I can ask all these questions, and it is a really welcoming environment for myself.
Oh, definitely. I don't feel like that I'm just a female engineer. I feel like I'm an engineer, which is what you want to feel like.
Yeah, I don't want to be a special female engineer. I just want to be an engineer.
No, I think that's very important when you feel like, you know, just everyone belongs anyway. And I think even having conversations like this just to show that it's not really as deep as people kind of might make it seem. You're just kind of following your interests and sort of just kind of, you know, trying to be represented in a certain space, which is very important. Thank you. And what advice would you give to young women then who are interested in, you know, pursuing a career in engineering, and how can they also like prepare for success in the industry? So we've got around, you know, 16, 17-year-olds perhaps watching this. They're still in school. They might really enjoy maths. They might really enjoy the STEM side of, you know, subjects. Potentially considering engineering as a career option. How can they prepare for success in this industry?
I would say my main thing is have confidence in yourself. Like, you are just as deserving as a role in engineering as anyone else in that classroom, anyone else in that in that interview session. Just have confidence in yourself, and that'll come across in your interview. Ask questions, do loads of research, and just sort of, even though it might not be available to you on face value, but just do a little bit of digging and see what you can find. And I think eventually something will pop out. And if you are even interested, to go to like STEM like after school groups or clubs or anything like that, and just get as much exposure as you can to different topics. And you never know, you might find some really niche subject that you're really interested in. And also, going back to what I said earlier, at the same time as what I've just said, don't feel the pressure if you don't know where you want to go and you don't know exactly what position you want to be. Just sort of do something. If you enjoy it, I would say just go for it.
Fully agree with what Jasmine's just said, and I'd like to add on top of that to don't be discouraged by what other people say. Do what you enjoy, and you'll end up finding a route. Just kind of go with the flow and don't second guess what you like or what you don't like. You should know who you are, what you want to do, and follow that.
I think that's a perfect place to finish. Thank you so much, Jasmine and Chloe. I think I really do hope the students find this really helpful, because to see people represented in the field and just speaking from experience, that's one of the best sort of kind of exposures that you can get. So thank you so much for your time, and happy International Women in Engineering Day when that's coming up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.